Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm returning with a video concerning the investigation of the Wayne County Sheriff Department. Most importantly, Mr. Chris Worth and his alleged bid rigging scheme and crimes that he committed. Now, I stayed away from this because the bid rigging was not as sexy, for lack of a better word, than Mike Cox drug dealing and drug using and setting people up and all of that. But because somebody wanted me to do an in-depth video outlining Chris Worth's charges, that is what I am going to do. And also because of the article right here in the Wayne Week with him asking for more time in his case that allowed me to look and see how deceitful and also devious his actions were. But most importantly, I'm going to show you how there's no way that either the sheriff or the county finance department was not aware of this scheme that he and fellow corrupt officer Mike Cox was involved in. Now, it started in 2016. Now, it is in 2016 that Chris Worth, formerly of the drug squad, he was promoted to the captain in charge of support services. Now, the support services is the organization or the branch of the department which secures vehicles for purchase, but also they were in charge of upfitting vehicles. Now, upfitting vehicles mean if a vehicle, a regular Charger was bought, upfitting mean, equipping it with sirens, with radios, computers, things of that nature, making it efficient for police use. So Chris Worth started that job in 2016, or he was granted to be head of that department in 2016. And his partner, Mike Cox, started a auto uplifting service, for lack of a better word, called EEE in 2003. And Chris Worth worked for them from 2006 until 2021. So the main part of their scheme was making sure that Mr. Cox got all or most of the contracts for the upfitting of police vehicles. Now, there were three requirements for the money to be transferred from the county finance department to the vendors. One was if there was a job that was under $1,000, there were no quotes needed. There was no, validation needed. Only thing they would do is send a work order or a purchase order directly from the Wayne County Sheriff Office to the vendor. So only thing they had to say was, look, this costs $1,000. This is the vendor that's doing the work. No question, no harm, no foul. $1,000 check going over to Mike Cox. Now, the second price line was between $1,000 and $2,500. Now, in order for the Wayne County Sheriff Finance Department to approve a job for this amount, Worth was supposed to obtain three quotes from three individual vendors or car repair people. And for those three quotes, he was obligated to choose the lowest amount. Now, even though he had to have three quotes, he didn't have to submit those quotes, but he was asked to keep them on file for later review. So basically, really in this instance, the same thing. Only thing Worth had to do was get a job for $2,400 and hand that job over to Mike Cox because he didn't have to submit any other quotes. To the contrary, that was the lowest bid. Now, the third one was for any job over $2,500. Now, in this occasion, Chris Worth was obligated to get the three quotes, develop and show all the itemized itemized prices on those quotes, get all three quotes, send those over to the finance office, and then he would choose the lowest quote. But also he had to submit, a memorandum award for the vendor, and then that is when the county finance office would send the money over to the vendor he chose. Now, this indictment reads, because of the volume of purchasing packages received on a daily basis, county purchasing did not have the resources to do a detailed review of each package or to call vendors to confirm the validity of the quotes. Instead, they relied on the honesty and integrity of various departments and offices that submitted the documentation, including Wayne County Sheriff Office. Now, after the county confirmed those packages, then the Wayne County Finance Office would once again send a check over to the vendor that was chosen to do the work, and after the work was done, a check was mailed to the vendor. So you see throughout this three-step process that Chris Worth was able to manipulate each process. For the $1,000 and under, there was no questions asked. He didn't even have to, fill out a itemized or a bidding sheet. He could just send the work to Mike Cox. For the 1,000 to 2,500 jobs, he really didn't have to obtain other bids because he was not required to submit those bids. So he could say he obtained other bids, but there was nobody to go behind him and check. And for the third one, he had to obtain other bids and submit them along with Mike Cox's bid. But you will see here that a lot of those bids that he submitted were fraudulent and escalated so Mike Cox would get the works. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole indictment of each individual fraud that they committed, but I am going to show you a few that details how there is no way on God's green earth that the sheriff, that the people in the finance department, that the county purchaser, whoever they were, didn't know that all of these jobs, thousands and thousands of dollars, were going to EEE that was headed by Mike Cox. No way. And I think actually the city finance guy or the county finance guy has retired since then. So it is not beyond speculation that he may have been involved as well. But I'm going to show you just a few of them that really details how there's no way in the world that this could be done. Now, the indictment, page 28, reads, in approximately 2016, Cox remarried and moved EEE to a commercial building on West Grantham Street in Goldsboro. Now, I did receive some more information about Cox's personal life and that remarriage and the events leading up to that, but I'm not going to report on that as of yet. This has nothing to do with that. I'm going to leave his personal life out of it as of now. But let's get into some of those things. On February 1st, 2016, right? This is the first major act that would let somebody know, okay, well, somebody had to know this amount of money was going to Mike Cox in his capacity as a vendor for the police, which already should have been a conflict of interest. He's a police officer, but he's getting contracts from the police. Like, that's a no-brainer. But nevertheless, it says, on February 1st, 2016, Worth and Cox communicated by text about a $29,000 balance. Just let's say $30,000. A $30,000 balance owed for all the cameras and radio installs. So, evidently, Cox had all these Chargers or whatever cars that he had already installed the cameras and the radios for, but he had not been paid for it yet. So he asked Chris Worth what kind of letter I would need to write to get drug money moved. And Worth responded that he needed a quote on the radios since he would need to pay it out of another account. And Worth then requested that Cox backdate the letter to make it seem like, this job was done in the correct manner, which it wasn't. So once again, $30,000 worth of work. Nobody in the finance department batted an eye. Nobody in the Wayne County purchasing office batted an eye. This officer has $30,000 worth. You can't tell me that everybody wasn't complicit in this. Let's continue on. 2016, August the 9th, right? Cox sent Worth an invoice once again for 8 chargers. He said, I've already done the work on them, so go ahead and get the purchase order. Worth says, hopefully they'll do a blanket purchase order. Does the invoice have to match the quote item for item? Worth asked. He said, well, you'll have to be a Wayland and give us Phoenix. And Cox responded that he had already changed it and emailed it, but I can change it back. Once again, here he is falsifying dates, falsifying times of service, falsifying literal financial documents that were coming and being taken from the citizens or the sheriff department, which is county money from citizens doing this work. So that shows you their fraud. Now here it is. Here's an example of how they were getting over submitting 3 quotes to make sure that all 3 quotes were valid and also the lowest bid got chosen. Here it is on Friday, 2017. Worth emailed the following to Cox. Need you to rescind the bill for your Tahoe. Each bill needs to be under $2,500. Now remember, if it's over $2,500, Worth has to go through this whole drawn out process with the 3 quotes, line for line, item for item, send them in to the county, let them review them, then get the purchase order. So he didn't want to do that. He said each bill needs to be under $2,500. Now, Cox has sent him a bill for $4,613 for changes that he had made to a Tahoe. Now, with that $4,600, he had to once again go through the whole process of saying, okay, how did he get this $4,600 total from all 3 of these bids? If I'm making sense. So what he did was split the bid in half so that both invoices total less than $2,500. So therefore, Worth didn't have to go through all of the rigmarole. He just had to submit the bid for the lowest order, which he had no other bids. It was just Cox. It was his homeboy. So he kept feeding him money. That's $5,000 right there. Once again, they defrauded him out of. Now, once again, they split some more invoices. They split some more invoices to make sure, once again, that these gun light invoices were under $1,000. Meaning, he didn't have to do any invoices. He just had to, send the bill and the vendor would get the quote. Now this is where, once again, they were getting false quote, right? On September the 6th, 2017, K9 team supervisor sent the following email to Cox. K9 team supervisor. Now, was he involved? Who was this K9 team supervisor? With copies to Worth. So this is not Cox or Worth. This is someone else. Can you get me a quote for 3 Havis Shield K9 insert crates for the new cars that are ordered? I'll get the other 2 from the internet somewhere and get them submitted for the purchase order. As soon as I get everything back, I'll get you to order them. So here is another person who was involved. He said, can y'all get me a quote for 3 of these K9 cages? And I'll find the other 2 from the internet somewhere. Meaning that these other 2 quotes that this other person, not Worth, not Cox, this other person who was on the sheriff office said, I'll get them. So you guys, I'll have these 2 fake quotes. So we'll beat the system, and because these jobs are over $2,500, I have these 2 fake quotes that y'all can send in, and y'all make sure that Cox get the job. He said, I'll have everything. As soon as I get everything back, I'll get you the order of them. Now, who was this K9 team supervisor who was also involved in the scam, as we see clear as day? So, to meet this requirement, the K9 team supervisor. Now, who was the K9 team supervisor in 2017? Somebody call him out. Don't be scared. Somebody call him out. To meet this requirement, the K9 team supervisor used 2 internet printouts with fictitious information added for labor and freight costs. Where is he at in the indictment? Why is he not indicted, right? So, for example, Worth was not paid on a weekly basis. Instead, he and Cox typically negotiated an aggregate payment due after Worth completed work on a number of cars. For example, November 13, 2017, Worth texts Cox to negotiate pay owed on him for 20 vehicles, which he had did work for. So these guys just know they were raking in the money. So you just pay me when you feel like it, because, you know, we got a steady supply of jobs coming in straight from the police force. And evidently, nobody's batting an eye. All these thousands of dollars of invoices going to EEE, owned by a fellow sheriff office, and nobody in the finance department bats an eye? Come on, you got to be kidding me. That's probably why the guy resigned. Nevertheless, here we go. And I haven't even went through all of this before the video. I just saw a couple of them, and I said, okay, you know, this just lets me know that somebody else was involved. Now, this one comes for work doing on a Wayne County Sheriff Office boat. Worth realized that the county purchasing had approved $2,200, but Cox planned to invoice only $1,400. So once again, Worth got something approved for $2,200, and then they said, okay, look, we got to add some more to this bill. And so pretty much he said, I can add another 100, you know, I can add some more lights, and I could put some of the Go Light spotlights on it for the night rescues. And then he said, okay, well, just send it at $1,500 and I'll see what else we could use. So basically, they were adding up items that they could meet what the county purchase officer approved. Now, once again, that shows lack of efficiency on this county purchasing officer or the city finance officer. He's just approving stuff for, okay, you what, $2,200. Okay, pass it out. Now, this guy was only going to bill for $1,400. So once again, that's an act of negligence or, excuse me, complicitness. In this manner, I'm gonna go on a little further, and I think I'm gonna just review a couple of them more, because I think this video makes the point for my guy who asked me to do it. Once again, do I need to do Bill Travis car under $1,000? Now, who is Bill Travis? I would like to know. Who is Bill Travis? Do I need to do Bill Travis car under $1,000? Worth responds, it will be easier on me. Correct, because if it's under $1,000, only thing Worth got to do is like, look, show me the invoice. You know, show them the invoice. They giving Worth the money off top. No questions asked. Approximately 2019, Cox installed a truck vault on a Wayne County Sheriff's 2019 Chevrolet Tahoe. A truck vault is a secure storage unit for the back of a vehicle, either in a trunk or SUV. The total charge was $2,000, but because the amount issued exceeded $1,000, the manual required 3 independent quotes to be obtained for such a contract. To avoid triggering the 3-quote requirement, Cox split the cost into 2 invoices, then applied a 10% discount, bringing each total to $972. So therefore, once again, he circumvented the system by splitting the cost into two invoices. And he continuously did that throughout the indictment. Um, Once again, he repeatedly spoke with other car manufacturing companies and got fictitious quotes to compare with the quotes that Mike Cox got, and he also got them to inflate the quotes to make sure that Mike Cox's quote was the smallest, and of course the sheriff office, the sheriff planner, sheriff finance person, whoever would go with the lower bid. And just a couple of more, because I think one of them was for Sheriff Pierce's car, if I'm not mistaken. But it's pretty much all of the same. It's all of the same. Okay. In 2019, he used West Chatham and Performance Automotive quote. So both of those are two other car companies who did work that they did. So basically, he was using these companies, and maybe these companies should also be involved in the indictment, to obtain fake quotes, right? So Wayne County paid EEE the sum of $17,000 because for the uplift 4 Dodge trucks, 8 Dodge Charger uplifts, Wayne County paid $35,000. November is the first one, December is the second one, and 3 months later they paid another $8,000. So nobody blinked an eye at $55,000 in a period of 5 months going to Sheriff Mike Cox's business from contract secured from the Wayne County Purchasing Office. You cannot tell me that nobody noticed that. So there's a level of complicity with the whole operation, mainly the county purchasing order guy, whoever that office, but also, once again, the sheriff. And so the indictment keeps on. Corruptly proud address. Okay, more false quotes. I'm looking for that share. Okay, now here's another one. 2020 award 11 uplift contracts. Right, 9 Dodge Durango uplifts, $40,000. October 31st. 2 months later, $4,000, a Chevy Tahoe upfit, and also 6 months later, $4,000. Once again, almost $50,000 in 6 months. Contracts awarded to Cox's company. So, pretty much, that is the gist of what Worth and Cox were doing. What they were basically doing was using Worth's position as the head of support services, which fixes and upfits vehicle, and they were using Mike Cox's business in EEE. I don't know what that stands for. Evil, erroneous, and effortless, evidently, because they pulled this off without a hitch. I wish, goodness gracious, what I'm saying, I should work for the sheriff's office if it's that easy to defraud people. But here you have hundreds of thousands of dollars changing hands, and nobody is blinking an eye. And mind you, that current county planner or the county finance officer who was in power or who was employed or who held that position at the time has since retired, right? So I guess he got out on the ground floor. He got out before the ball dropped. He got out before before the defecation hit the fan. That's what we see right here. But there's no way, once again, and you also saw a canine unit supervisor. Also stating that he's going to get fictitious quotes from the internet to make sure that, you know, the bids go through. Now here it is once again. I think, and once again, this is Chris Worth, one of the captain, El Capitan, Chris Worth, doing this and defrauding the people of Wayne County. This is our money, so we should be equally as aghast at these actions. Nevertheless, Mr. Chris Worth is yet still walking around. Like I talked to one of my homeboys the other day. He said, "Yeah, I saw him. I walked in a store in Mount Olive. He just walking around, happy-go-lucky, like he ain't did nothing. No house arrest, no go to jail, no do not pass go. He just keeps passing go. And from my understanding, they said he's still working for the sheriff office. So, this is very, very, very unsettling on behalf and in the arena of making our sheriff department and our county finance officers, look totally like, Car 54, where are you? Like the bungling cops. What was his name? Gunther and somebody else. Like, there's no way that any logical human being would see all these purchase orders going up. And once again, they said Mike Cox moved his wife out in a prestigious Walnut Creek area. Now, once again, I don't know what his wife does. I don't know, their financial status, but according to, what I hear, police officers are leaving Goldsboro Police because of the pay. They can't keep anybody. So I don't understand how he could afford, such an extravagant lifestyle. But as we see here, he definitely had a steady, six-figure income through him and his buddy Worth defrauding the county government and also the citizens and taxpayers' hard-earned money. So I hope my guy is satisfied, because he did want a detailed explanation of the charges of Mr. Worth. And, I didn't want to go through that whole entire indictment, because it's pretty much the same. And, my boy, once again, Ken Fine, he broke it down in this article right here. I was going to go by that, but I just wanted to go by the indictment. Shout out to Wayne Wheat in the New Old North. But, there's going to be some more stuff coming down the pipeline. As you see, look, this other officer was involved with obtaining the fake quote. So we're not done. As KRS once said, we're not done. We're not through. But, it's definitely going to be some more things that you might want to look out for. Once again, my number is 919-587-7782. Let me know if anything that I said is unsettling, untrue, incorrect, or if you have more information to add to any of these and all stories on Taylor House Publishing. Make sure that you call me direct. Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications, share the video, all that. But I thank all of y'all who keep tuning in and, giving me words of encouragement as I continue to shed light on various subjects, not only in Goldsboro, but, throughout the surrounding areas. Peace and blessings. Y'all have a blessed night.